chose linoleum as the inspiration for the design of this quilt, as its manufacture here in Kirkcaldy had such an influence on the town in the 19th and 20th centuries. Specifically, I researched the Nairn Company, whose founder, Michael Nairn, built his first factory here in 1847. I had to think of a subject for my City and Guilds course, and I just moved to Kirkcaldy to look after grandchildren. So this helped me to find out a great deal about Kirkcaldy and about the linoleum industry, which is absolutely huge. They exported everywhere. So I think a lot of it was because of the empire. So they're in America, New Zealand, all over the world. The original plan for the quilt was for it to be in black and white, as I felt that the wide variety and design of linoleum patterns might clash horribly. Looking deeper into the manufacturing process, however, I discovered that white linoleum had never been made, so this then made calico the more natural choice. This then of course meant that the black didn't work, so I had to dye little pieces of calico and silk in a variety of colours, and came up with this calico in turquoise. This is for highlight and for contrast. The piece as a whole is long and thin to represent a roll of linoleum. The background is kept smooth and flat with regular lines of stitching. The little squares intersected represent linoleum tiles. The story of the quilt reads from right to left. So we start here with the oddly shaped factory, where the raw materials such as linseed oil were brought in from all over the world, and this is all done in tucks. Above this I've placed 3 stars on top of each other. This is a reminder that the Nairn Company won the Merit Star over many years. There's a banner in Kirkcaldy Museum which the workers used to take on their outings, and it proclaims 1847, first in the field, the Merit Star we gain. 1907, still in the front, the star we aye retain. So these are the stars we aye retain. I then extended these out to make a compass, and this is to emphasise that the winning product was exported far and wide. Next we come to the oddly shaped factory with its distinctive roofline. I originally planned to make this one-sided, but by adding the gable end, which was an image from an old French poster, I think it gives a more authentic shape, as well as the tall chimney. Also I added hand stitching from the peaks of the roof and Michael Nairn, which is actually on the wall of the building, and that is to make it more 3D. So then we come to this side of the rolls of linoleum coming out from the factory. I should say, when I put the factory on its side like that, and the star over there, that made the design of the quilt flow and helped me to decide where all the other elements had to go. So these are the rolls of linoleum which have been made coming from the factory, and they open out into the body of the quilt, which is a cornucopia, and it's meant to represent, it's lots and lots of quilted patterns, but it's to represent a small fraction of the linoleum that was made over the decades. Then we come to the War Memorial Gardens, which surround the Kirkcaldy Museum and Art Galleries, which was gifted to the town by the Nairn family when John Nairn's son was killed in World War I. So this large cross here is to commemorate Captain Ian Cooper Nairn, who was killed in September of 1918. All the other crosses that are scattered in the flowers and the trees and throughout the rest of the quilt are for the fallen of the 2 world wars, because I made the quilt in 2014. Along the bottom I've got a wide variety of origami squares, and these represent modern linoleum, which is a vast expanse of plain linoleum with strips and pattern laid into it. I've really enjoyed the processes I've learned while I've been making this quilt, and in the following year in my City and Guilds I carried on with the origami and made a jacket. And I love experimenting with origami, and the quote that I like best is that if you can make it in paper, you can make it in fabric, you just have to deal with the bulk and the raw edges.